Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm Ryan McKee, and this is a new perspective. This channel intention is to bring awareness and enlightenment to the unseen, tackling the real issues, breaking through mental barriers to discover, unlock, and understand your true propensity, to create passion that will spark desire to build from the inside out. Now, first episode we had talked about opening it up. Now we're going to talk about two sides of the coin, as I like to call it: idealistic versus realistic. So, what is idealistic? Idealistic is just, it comes with a certain amount of optimism. I'm very idealistic when it comes to certain things. Um, that's when you could be in your head, you could be a little airy, you could just be somewhat aloof. You could be very dreamlike, and there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes that's where the imagination comes from. Now, realistic is the practical. That's the groundedness. That's when you not letting the emotions, take you past cloud nine, and you're not as airy and things like that. The reason why I wanted to talk on these two topics is because a lot of times we can have a little bit more than the other, and when you have a little bit more than the other, you either going to become more rigid, or just more dreamy, more childlike, more free, more how can I say it? I wouldn't say more free spirited, but more just in your head, just not grounded enough to really tackle what's going on. And when you're too grounded, you're not, free enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor too much. Everything is strict, everything is stiff, you know. Um, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about being practical. Being practical. When it comes to being practical, it's just like when you do your goals, and this is something I always had a problem with, being an idealistic person. When you're doing your goals, you want to be grounded in your approach. You, like I said, you don't want to get caught up in your emotions, the feeling of it. I mean, you want to have a sense of that, but when it comes to being practical, you want something that you could do in a good amount of time, something that's definitely achievable, and something you could get to that is tangible. You know what I'm saying? Um, a lot of times, when it comes to being practical, you have to there's a trick. There's a trick to becoming practical. I was in a group where they try to get me to be grounded in my goal setting. So they would tell me, write a goal, and then write the time of that goal, and then put you know visualize it, and try to not try to put the attentions out there as if you already have that goal accomplished. It's visualization. I know a lot of you see people do vision boards. Um, a lot of people, they say, okay, I'm gonna have this certain amount of money in a certain amount of months, or I'm gonna complete this task in a certain amount of time. But you gotta make sure it's grounded, and you gotta make sure it's very intentional, and that you could do it. But not only do it, you have to put in the work as well. You can't just put it out there and wishful think. That's the idealistic part, and that's the part that where the procrastination, and you put it off for months and months, and before you know it, it's a dream deferred. You guys heard Langston Hughes. So with being practical, comes getting out of your head. Now, once again, this took me a minute to get out of my head. Um, I'm a thinker. I'm also a visionary. So a lot of what I do is in my head. I like to always start. I lived in my head, which for the most part of my life, I did. So I might come off aloof distance, whatever, unapproachable, whatever you could think of. Probably, because I like to stay in my head. But it can be dangerous because you don't want to be in your head too much because you're not in reality so much when you're in your head. Which, sometimes you need to escape. Sometimes. But with getting out of your head, what I learned is sometimes I meditate, sometimes I may work out, or what get me to getting out of my head is just discipline. That's one of the hardest things. I believe that's hard to tackle, discipline, especially with a poverty mindset. Now, poverty mindset is just the scarcity, the lack of not having. You know, poverty is the cause for a lot of things you see going on in this world. Poverty is just not just, I guess, when people say I'm poor or I don't have it, it's the mindset. The worst prison you could be, the worst prison you could be in is in your mind. So if you don't change your mindset to have a more realistic approach to life, or or you, like you said, like you're just in your head and you just thinking and thinking and thinking, but you're not putting no action to do anything. It's just words. It's just words, and then you'll just be known as the talker, the person who just talk a good game, but he can't deliver. Everything seemed promising, and it took me to be by myself and to get that groundedness to get out of my head. So, the difference, the difference between, well, we sort of, for the most part, touched on realistic, but idealistic. Having that optimism is good, is key, but you don't want to be too optimistic to the point where though you just everything is faith and there's no work. Faith without work is dead. That saying. So you don't want to be so much wishful thinking and thinking, okay, it's going to happen because I said it's going to happen, and I wrote it down, and I visualized it, and I did this, and I did that, and I mean, they got it done. They were saying that's what they did, but people put in work. You cannot just think that you could just do it just by, just imagining it and thinking that it's just going to come to pass. So that's the difference. That's the difference, and this brings me to balance, because you need both. You need both. Sometimes you need to be a little airy. Sometimes you need to be grounded in your emotions. Sometimes you can't let your emotions get the best of you. Sometimes you can't let your logic get the best of you. Sometimes you really do gotta use your head over heart. Sometimes you gotta use your heart over your head. That comes to what I talked about in my first video: accepting yourself, owning your truth. When you get to a place where you know yourself, and you're growing, and at first it's hard sometimes, and at first it's very confusing. But when you keep going, you're gonna start to see the results. Slowly but surely. You and so you want to have a balance of the two, only because you need both. You need both, and you need. I always say, even with your friend circle, you kind of need your friend that's a little airy, that's just a little free spirited, aloof, and what I mean, just life of the party. Sometimes you need your friends like, hey, we gotta chill, we gotta get this done, like we gotta look, time is money, and you need that balance. The balance is good. Balance with anything is good. Too much of anything is bad. We know that. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk on idealistic versus realistic, because a lot of times, just like me, and I know there's a lot of people out there with just lost it with the influx of balance. Just Some of us have more feminine energy than masculine energy, whether you're male or female. It happens. Sometimes we cling more to our emotions than our logic, even for men. Nobody want to talk about it, but it's the truth. So yeah, that's basically that on that. And this is my segment on idealistic versus realistic. All right, I'm out.